Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here. This is your latest planning outlook on Friday the 11th of January. Now we're on the brink of some much more wintry conditions setting themselves up across the mountains. About a week or 10 days away we could find ourselves in a much more sustained wintry period. Not quite there just yet, it's still sort of mild, wet and windy or relatively mild in the days ahead. There'll be some freeze and thaw cycles though on the Scottish mountains heading into next week, but trends are just becoming colder with time. It's all backing up the story, though, that we've been looking at for a few weeks now, that the later part of January would start to give us something more productive. I look at 850 temperatures. This is 850 millibars. That's at around 4,500 feet or just above, so just slightly higher at this stage than the Scottish summits. And through the weekend, we see temperatures lift through Saturday. So initially freezing levels started around 1050 metres and then lifting above the summits through Saturday daytime, but will drop again during Sunday as a cold front passes southwards and temperatures falling back below freezing on many mountains through Sunday into early Monday. Briefly then, milder air tries to get back in as we go through Monday into Tuesday. At this stage, you're really only looking at a degree or so below freezing on the higher tops as your lowest temperatures. But just as we go further through next week, as the 850 temperatures drop, even the 850 level itself as pressure falls will get lower. You can see that we're down to -5, -6 at that level, and that could well be representing the higher Scottish mountains by this stage. So changes are developing through this week. It's really around Wednesday into Thursday where that change is taking place. It may then just vary and torment us for a day or so as we head toward the end of the week, where temperatures may just lift and fall slightly, but leaning towards staying frozen, I suspect, across the Scottish mountains in particular. And I think really the trends, once we reach about the 20th of January, could just keep that cold bedded in for a good period, maybe even for the rest of the month into early February. So it's looking much more promising as we're going further ahead. Let's just have a quick look through the synoptic charts for the next few days. This is Saturday, and you've got a warm front coming in from the west, drizzly rain coming in, maybe a few snow grains for a while, but as that milder air comes in, it turns just damp. A windy day with gales pretty widespread across the mountains, gusting 60, 70 or more, maybe on the higher tops. It stays windy through into Sunday. A cold front will have drifted a bit further southwards, so that's the drop of temperatures through Sunday, and showers that come in across the highlands, increasingly of snow above 600 or 700 metres as the day goes on. Wind speeds again gusting in excess of 60 or 70 miles per hour across many of the higher areas. A little bit of a tangle into Monday as we've got the leftovers of fronts in play, a lot of cloud cover across the mountains, bits of rain and snow, temperatures lifting again as a warm front comes in. Pressure builds briefly, so not quite as windy for Monday daytime, but it may strengthen again before the day is out. We're still stuck with westerlies through into Tuesday, so nothing really wintry or desperately wintry setting in just at this stage, but there's colder air again behind the cold front coming in from the northwest, so it's likely to be a day where the freezing level starts to drop and snow showers come in to increasingly lower levels across northern and western Scotland. That cold front will have passed southwards into Wednesday. There's a further warm front trying to come back in. It may not lift the temperatures too much, though, later in the week. A wind flow turning round toward the northwest, and there'll be a mix of snow and hail showers coming around, mixed with some brighter and sunnier periods. The winds could still be up to gale force for a time. They may drop as the day goes on. If we just step back and look at the bigger picture in the later part of the week then, and that's where we're just seeing that push of colder air coming around from the northwest. Variable conditions later in the week, very tricky just at more than 5 days out to know exactly how things will pan out later next week. But the colder air is trying to set itself up. Areas of low pressure look like skirting in from the northwest, so it could be a story where there's maybe some rain across England and Wales. Across the northern side of fronts, there could be snowfall, even to fairly low levels across Scotland and possibly northern England as these systems just come down from northwest to southeast. And as we head more towards the 19th, 20th and beyond, just as low pressure eventually starts to become more established into Central Europe, that we start to lose the milder patterns coming in from the Atlantic. This chart is averaging things out quite a bit, so don't try and get too much detail from this. There's not much we can see from it at this stage, apart from just that lower pressure, a trough of lower pressure, is digging further into Central Europe at this stage. Pressure is trying to build out over the Atlantic and build further northwards. All of that will stop the Atlantic weather systems coming in, and it's trying to open the door to something from the northeast. Now, I showed you a chart similar to this on Tuesday's planning video, and this is the same sort of period. It's the week 3 from this model run, and we're just on a few days further down the line with this now, and it takes you right to the end of January. The story is very similar to what it was looking like on Tuesday, and that's good news in many ways. It means there's consistency in the models from day to day, and the story remains more or less the same in that longer range. And it tells us that low pressure is likely to be around and to the south of Britain. It shows us that high pressure is more toward the north and northwest, and it's that pattern coming in as a northeast or easterly that's setting up for that period. And that's the average for a whole week, bearing in mind. So it just shows that that setup is there to stay, and some of the longer range trends even into early February continue that pattern. So it could well be that once winter starts to emerge, we could be into it for a good while ahead. So I know you're itching for the winter weather conditions to really come in onto the mountains. We're not quite just there yet, but give it a week or 10 days and we could well be setting up for a sustained wintry spell. Stay up to date with us then every day in the written forecast files for your local area at the Mountain Weather Information Service. We'll have the next video online for you early next week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.